We're actually going to go into some coaching right now. And what we'd like to do is we're going to break you into twos, and we actually do that. You'll go into your own little room. What's going to happen is this, is you're going to have 5 minutes each to get a little bit of coaching, and we're practicing listening. We're not going to solution, or we're not going as far as the coach's role here. The coach's role is to listen. And the listening portion of this is really for you to do and practice these things that are actually on this slide here, this listening slide, which is can't do eye contact. However, from an energy standpoint, you can actually do eye contact, which means that, well, let me tell you this. When you're on the phone with somebody, can you tell whether they're listening to you or not? I can. And there's some kind of energy space that actually happens where you go, are you there? And you know that they've been distracted by something. Deirdre went, oh, yes. So did you want to add to that too? There you go. So absolutely, we can tell. So even though that we're in these rooms together, we can tell whether we're listening or not. So you're going to be practicing coach these skills, the nonverbals, which is the energy piece, and the eye contact, which we can't, which is a little more ethereal on these calls. Some brief phrases, some paraphrasing, maybe ask a question for clarity's sake, not for solution's sake, and just really be totally focused. There's most of it we would like you to practice with the nonverbals, kind of the and really use silence as a tool here. Maybe even when you feel you want to ask a question, hold the space a little longer for that person. Okay? So now, the subject is, remember in your homework we asked you to bring bring some coaching scenarios, things you'd like to be coached on. And what will happen, the coachee, you're actually going to be coached on one of those things, okay? One of those things. And the coach, you're going to listen, you're going to be curious, and you're going to find out about that. You're not going to go anywhere with it. You're going to find out about that. You're going to listen and hold that space and be curious and practice these elements, okay? So you'll have 5 minutes each, and what will happen is Amy is going to put a timer up, and then, so when the 5 minutes is up, there'll be a little ding, and then you'll actually switch, and the other person will become the coach and the coachee. Okay. Any questions on that? And Deirdre asked, can it be a personal situation? Absolutely. It doesn't need to be work. It can be anything that you want to bring that you'd like some coaching on. So what did you discover as a part of this exercise from the context of listening? What did you notice as the listener first, as the coach first? Okay. Yes, Sharon.
I was partnered up with Carol, and what I found challenging is not being able to offer solutions. It was hard to listen without being able to offer solutions.
Sharon, listen, we got right to it, didn't we? That's absolutely probably, for many of you, one of the most difficult thing, and Kathy's clapping because she gets it too, right, is if we immediately go to solving. We immediately go to solution, especially when we've had a like experience, or that we can relate, or we did something and now this is the solution we had. It's very difficult. So we're going to ask you to stay in the listening mode and not in the solution mode to begin with. So thank you for that offering, Sharon, because it is just, again, I've been doing this a long time and I still go there too quickly. It's not that we don't work on that. It's that we want to give space for the other person to really talk it through, and ultimately, probably, they come up with their own solutions. The wisdom is here. So really good noticing, Sharon. All right, what else? What else did you, as a listener, discover or notice? Graham?
Again, I struggle with time, and I found myself looking at the clock, and just about 10 seconds before it was over, I pulled out the the TED, and I said, tell me more. And at the same time, as a timekeeper, I wanted to suddenly jump in and say, we've only got 2 seconds kind of thing, and that's what I always struggle with, is just time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's related to your earlier comment in meetings, for sure. You know, it is something. As you do this more and more, there is a kind of a natural rhythm that occurs in managing time. We've got 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour with someone. You begin to feel the rhythm, and so do they. And so it's a good thing for you to notice about yourself. In particular, time is feels like it's limited sometimes. And it can be just enough for what we need right now. So just hold that space, Graham, and we'll get there as we're moving forward through some of the other skills as well. So, all right. How about those of you who were the talkers, who were the coachees? What was it like to experience that space, even in 5 minutes? What did you notice about your ability to fill it?
I'll say at first when you said you each have 5 minutes, I thought, 5 minutes? What am I going to talk about in 5 minutes? But honestly, we pretty much used the whole time. It really did, when you knew you had enough time to talk, you were able to expand. I didn't feel so rushed. So that was nice. My first impression, though, is 5 minutes is way too long. But it did allow me to really think through more things and knowing I had the time available.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sharon. You know, it's really funny sometimes, our perspective about time. You know, Graham, what you were saying, and our perspective about time is really interesting. And if given the time, and we immerse ourselves in it, in other words, okay, I have to do this, I'm dedicated to it. As Sharon, you noticed, you filled it.
Okay, I'm not sure it's relevant, but I actually feel very safe talking to a stranger. Because what happens is nowadays, like everyone surrounding me know so much about me. I don't feel safe to talk about what's the problem there, right?
Carol, it is, as Amy has put in, perfectly relevant. You know, one of the things, and it's the reason actually often that we bring in organizations external coaches for some of the leadership, because of exactly what you said, is it's a safe space. People they don't really know you. It's a stranger, and there's also no consequences to actually telling the truth to that person that could impact them in the workplace as well. So the same thing here in relation just to anybody that you don't know, actually telling a truth to them, because they don't have preconceived notions. They don't have any, information about you that might, taint the listening or anything else. And it's a very safe space, meaning what are the consequences of me sharing with this person? It's a pretty interesting dynamic. And actually it relates to coaching on the phone too on another level. I may know my coachees, and I may or may not have met them. I do a lot of phone work, and as does Amy. And by not being seen physically, there is a safer space that is often created for the coachee to express. And, Carol, you've modeled it perfectly by saying, this is a stranger, and I'd add, you're on the phone, can't see a face, so you can actually say things that you might not say in person or to someone that you actually really knew already. Right? It's a very it's part of one of the blessings and dynamics of coaching. Amy, want to add to that? Amy,
yeah, we're going to talk about some things down the road. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay, you can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Checking my mute button. All right. We're going to talk about some things down the road about, developing safety. But for those of you looking to bring in a coaching initiative into your organization, this is a very, very important point to look at. Because some of you were said in the beginning, you're looking to determine, about bringing coaching in and how does it work and who would be the appropriate people to train as coaches. This is a very important point to look at about the safety factor. And, for the coaching to be successful, the people who are chosen to coach, if you're going to have, one-on-one coaching within your organization versus managers and leaders learning a coaching approach, is to be able to give this space to people where they can really say what they need to say. That, we talked about in the previous slide about clearing the toxins from an environment, and that I'm trying to remember what the expression was. This is it. High performance can never be sustained at the cost of a foul nest. This is where coaching really becomes extremely beneficial, is that people have the ability to sort those toxic issues out and to be able to talk about maybe conflict that is bringing in a lot of toxicity into an environment. So this is a really important point for those of you looking at this to bring coaching into your organization. Deirdre, go ahead.
I think it's extremely important, especially if you are without an HR department.
Absolutely, absolutely, and and I'm just going to say this that even with an HR department, I've seen organizations where there are wonderful HR departments that create a very, very safe place for people to go in and talk and sort these things out. And I've also seen organizations where HR departments contribute to the toxicity. And so it's, this is, and we can talk more about this as we move along and we get into different aspects of coaching.